Hi and welcome to Bali. My name's Gary, if you haven't met me before. I teach traditional Hatha style yoga in Sydney and also teach yin yoga, which I really enjoy as well. The class I'm going to teach today is one that I used to teach for corporate workers when I was working in one of the biggest corporate companies in Australia. That was part of my job, is to teach and also to be a project manager, believe it or not. So juggling those two aspects was, I found really quite interesting, from being the yogi to being quite a structured project manager. But the practices I'm going to teach today were some of the favourites from my colleagues who would attend my classes twice a week when I was teaching there. And this practice, as well as teaching that, it's actually most of the postures today, or the flow of it, is a personal practice of mine. And I do this quite a lot, and some of the postures will fluctuate each day. But for sitting first thing in the morning, watching the sunrise sometimes, and doing these postures, it really helps settle me into the day. Now, a lot of it's to do with people who hunched over computers all day. This is what this practice is about. So hopefully it will help you, and enjoy. So we'll get started. Always comfortable seated position. I like to sit on something. I find it really helpful because it lifts the pelvis off the floor. You will know that you'll probably see that most yogis and teachers don't sit on the floor. They always sit on something. And the reason for that is, as said just before, it helps the pelvis, bring the pelvis forward, but it also helps lift and lengthen you into the spine, and it helps with breathing and also with the energy flow, which we call prana in yoga. So get yourself into a comfortable seated position. Hands can rest on your laps. If you know mudras, by all means use those, Gyan or Chin mudra or meditation mudra. And then just allow yourself to settle cross-legged, if that works for you, or you can be kneeling. And then when you find yourself in that nice spot, just give yourself a little bit of a wiggle, just to allow the sit bones just to land. Gently closing your eyes, and just notice where you are with the breath. Where is it located in your body? And as you notice the breath, then take some control on the breath. Inhale in through the nose, nice and deeply into the lungs. And exhale out through the mouth. And again. Once more. So I'm going to go a little bit more internal now. So inhale in through the nose and out through the nose. And in through the nose and out through the nose. And in and out. Coming back to the natural breath. So we're going to move into a practice now called Samavriti. And it translates roughly to equalizing breath. And this is quite often taught in the corporate world as square breath or box breath. And believe it or not, it's actually taught to the US Navy SEALs. So it's quite a popular pranayama, we call it, in yoga, breathing practice. And this is something you can do pretty much anywhere. So today's practice is about 3. So think of the number 3, and we're going to be moving through a 3-breath yoga release. So moving into the practice now. So inhaling, visualize a square with your eyes closed, and inhaling in through the nose, 2, 3, goes up to the top of the breath. Holding the breath in, 2, 3, exhaling out through the nose, going down, 2, 3, holding the breath out, 2, 3, and again inhaling in, 1, 2, 3. Holding the breath in. 1, 2, 3. Exhaling out through the nose. 1, 2, 3. Holding the breath out. 1, 2, 3. One more round. Inhaling in. 1, 2, 3. Holding the breath in. 1, 2, 3. Exhaling out through the nose. 1, 2, 3. Holding the breath out. 1, 2, 3. Coming back to the natural breath. Letting the practice go. So setting an intention for the next 25 minutes or so of what you want to focus on for today. And with that, very gently open your eyes. So we're going to start with some shoulder rotations. So fingertips on the shoulders. And this is a very traditional yoga practice. I learned this many years ago. I'm kind of revisiting a lot of these practices. You basically just rotate your arms backwards and forwards. You can get your whole expression into your head and into your spine and really work into it. So follow one direction and then we reverse. 1, 2, and 3. Letting that go. Hands are in cactus shape. 3 breaths in. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose and in through the nose and out through the nose and in and out. And then rotating round to the right. Left hand on right knee, right hand behind you, looking over your right shoulder. And to the count of 3, breathing in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. 3 breaths, sorry. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Back to center. 3 breaths in and out here. Onto the other side. Going towards the left side. Right hand on left thigh. Left hand beside you, looking over the left shoulder. Breathing in and out. 3 times. Back to cactus arms. And this time we'll change it up a bit. We're going to flow over to the right side. Right hand on the floor, left hand up and over. Breathing in and out 3 times. Back to center. Just 1 breath in and out here. Then over to the other side. Right hand up and over, left hand on the floor. Now you can keep the arm pretty much straight or you can have a really nice bend in it while you're doing those 3 breaths. Up to you, and you're looking towards your right armpit. Back to center, and we're letting that go. Coming onto all fours. So we call this 4-point or tabletop. And I'm just moving the prop off the side. You've probably noticed I've got a prop at the back here too. It's quite windy here at the moment in Bali, so my mat was actually flying around. So from 4-point, just ensuring that your shoulders are over the top of your elbows and wrists. Middle 2 fingers are pointing forward and your hips are over your knees. Your knees are a little bit more than hip distance apart. And it's quite simple, this practice. Tailbone goes up, belly towards the floor, chin and forehead towards the ceiling on the inhalation, and it's the opposite on the exhalation. So the head's the last part of your body to move, and the tailbone or sit bones is the first to move. And again, inhaling to come up. Exhaling to come down. Last one. 3. and rounding out.
I'm going to change it up a little bit.
We're going to go into a movement of your own here. So I like to, and what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to move your hips and your arms in this kind of 4-point shape, any way that works for you. You can come to same what we were doing before, or you can move your hands a bit forward and rotate right into your body and doing circles into the shoulders, into the hips, heads moving up and down. Eyes closed really helps with this practice, makes it a little bit more centered. And then you move on to the other side. And then when you feel even on both sides, coming back to center, just moving backwards and forwards a little bit. Placing your hands back underneath your shoulders if your hands are a little bit further forward like mine were. And we're going to go into the next shape, which is a little pulsating shape with the back leg. So extending the right leg back on the ball of the foot and just pulsating backwards and forwards to the count of 3. So we're doing 3. Right leg comes back, left leg extends, and again, backwards and forwards for 3. Back to center. This time right leg extends up, and we're doing some little tiger twirls here. So knee to nose. Inhaling to come up. Exhaling to round out. Inhaling to come up. Exhaling to round out. Last one. And down. Onto the other side, left leg extends. Bending the knee, knee to nose, rounding out the back. Inhaling to come up. Exhaling to come down. Inhaling to come up. Exhaling to come down. One more. And down. Once again, a little bit of a wiggle. So the next pose we're going to come into, and I'm just going to move around. It's called gate pose. So you stand, you set yourself up from a tabletop position, which I'm in now. Right leg extends out to the side. Now this can really change a little bit depending on how your body shape is. You may need to put something underneath your knee. The floor I'm on here, which is quite hard, sometimes it's good to put like a blanket or a towel underneath your knee to support it. So we're just moving backwards and forth here in the gate pose. So right leg is out to the side, toes are pointing forward. And once again, it's just 3 times back and forth. And then we're going to do some little circles. 3 in one direction, and 3 in the other. And working into those hips. Back to center, coming up into the full gate pose. Now from here, hands are out to the side, and we're just floating over to the right side. So right hand is on the calf, left hand is up and over. Coming back to center, we do it for the 3. And this time over to the other side. I'm just placing my hand on my left thigh. Now you can actually place your hand on your floor if it's working for you. Back to center. We're just doing it for the count of 3 here. Back to center, over the other side. Back to center, once more on each side. Back to center. Hands on the floor. So we're on to the other side. Left leg extends out. I'll move my little cushion out of the way. And we're just pulsating back and forth. So 3 times, and then little hip rotations. And then rounding out, just rotating, just really working into the hips and those thighs. Then back to center, coming upright, floating the right hand up and over,
looking towards the right armpit, if that's within the practice.
back to center, hand on the thigh, coming up and over, just to the count of 3. And again on the other side, we're just floating from side to side. Finishing off on the right side. Coming back to center, back into that tabletop. Knee comes under. And I'm just adjusting myself back into the middle of the mat. So we're tucking the toes under. Sorry, there's a bit of noise in the background. There is some construction. Anybody who's been to Bali, there's construction everywhere here. So bear with me, hopefully it won't stay for long. So fingers are evenly spread. I like to put the hands right out to the edges of the mat, pushing into the fingertips and the pads of the hand, hips to heels, and raising up into downward facing dog.
So they're walking up the dog here, just rolling over, just the feet, maybe lots of crunchies. It's perfectly normal in the mornings, the afternoon here, but in the morning I went to a class and yes, it was quite loud of all the popping and that from doing the down dogs. So from here, coming down
Onto the knees, right leg forward. And we're coming into what's called a runner's lunge. It's also called equestrian in traditional hatha yoga. Raising the hands up. I'm going to do a very gentle twist towards the right. Breathing in and out. Just the count of 3, but not 3 breaths. Just the count, back up. Gentle back arch, over again, to the right. Back up. 3rd time. Back up. And this is where it's going to change a bit. Floating our hands down. And we're going to come into sort of a variation of pyramid here. So from the runner's lunge, straightening the front knee. Now you don't have to have it completely straight. Count of 3. And back. Looking forward in equestrian or runner's lunge. Coming back down. Once more. Now you notice I've got big bends in the knees. Everybody's body shape is different, and this is what works for me at the moment. So, placing the hands on the floor, we're going to come back up into downward facing dog. I'm going to float that right leg back up to start with on the inhalation, then coming down, back into down dog. So we're looking for length in the arms and the back, and the knees are bent, traditionally bent. Coming back onto the knees from downward facing dog. This time the left leg comes forward, runner's lunge. Looking forward on fingertips, coming upright, floating those arms up, twisting to the left. We'll do count of 3, 2, 3, back to center, slight back arch, back to the left. Last time. Back arch again, placing the hands down, just adjusting that foot, and once again that pyramid pose, sliding the hands back, coming forward, and again, and forward, once more, and forward, placing the hands down, coming back into downward facing dog. Woo. So, from downward facing dog, looking forward, and really tiny steps with your feet to your hands or to the front of the mat. Really big bend in the knees here. Placing the hands just on the floor if that works. Coming up to a half lift. And exhaling to come down.
And again, half lift.
Now with the half lift, it's always good to just place flat palms just underneath the knees because you're looking for a standing tabletop. And again, half lift again. Then bending right into those knees, sweeping the arms forwards or ups, up. Hands back into prayer at the heart space, and then releasing the hands down by the sides. And I'll show you this posture here. Traditionally it's called mountain pose. So your feet can be together or they can be hip distance apart. Now with hip distance apart, it's roughly 2 fists. Palms are facing forward, and this is a really powerful pose. It's kind of an opening pose too if your palms facing forward. And then you just very gently close your eyes. 3 breaths in and out here. I'll move to the top of the mat again. And then I'm going to move into Salutes to the Sun A series, which is from Ashtanga Yoga, with some modifications, perhaps. So visualizing in the sun on the horizon and just being grateful for everything that the sun provides. When I visualize the sun coming from the beaches, I always visualize the sun coming up over the horizon at the beach. But you may have something over the rice fields or somewhere where you live in a village or over a cityscape. It's all just where you want to visualize. Then gently open your eyes, and it's raised arm pose. Now you can come forward. If you're in a really busy class, like I was in a class this morning of 80 people in Bali, then if you raise your arms to the side, you might take out somebody. So you can, or by all means, go to the front. Raised arm pose.
We'll go for a little bit quicker. We'll do it back out here. We'll have the hands open.
Then it's hands to feet pose. And you can notice that I've got a really big bend in the knees. Then it's that standing tabletop again. Placing the hands down. And I'm going to step back. Now you can come into full plank. But if you're like me this morning or today, you can just come into kneeling tabletop, or so kneeling plank, and that's perfectly okay. Then very gently lowering down. But when you lower down, just tucking the elbows in towards your ribs and coming down slowly. Now you can untuck the feet here. I'm going to do some really mini pulses in Cobra. So it's just coming up. So you're just pushing into the hands, coming up very gently, not too high. Inhaling to come up, exhaling to come down. Inhaling to come up, exhaling to come down. Inhaling to come up, exhaling to come down. Tucking the toes under. Onto the knees, pushing back into downward facing dog. Looking forward and just stepping to the front of your mat. You can see that I'm using lots of little steps here. So it's back into tabletop again, standing tabletop.
Then it's hands to feet pose. Notice the big bend in the knees, then bending even more into the knees, sweeping the arms out to the side, into prayer, and back into Tadasana. Hands facing forward, closing the eyes, lifting and lengthening into the spine, feet roughly together or hip distance apart, whatever feels right for you, toes are pointing forward. So we're going to do 2 more rounds, but we're going to change it a bit. We're going to use the count of 3 breaths. So this is going to slow it right down. So together, raised arm pose. The feet pose. So forward fold, breathing in and out 3 times. Standing tabletop, 3 breaths. Placing the palms on the floor, coming forward into high plank or knees on the floor like me. 3 breaths here. Lowering down. Coming up to cobra. So we'll go into still a mini cobra and 3 breaths here. So elbows are tucked in, fingertips are pointing forward. Coming back down, coming up onto knees, and then downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Looking forward to the front of your mat, and once again, little baby steps, or if you're in your practice, you can do a little hop to the front. And we're just coming into that, that standing tabletop again. 3 breaths there. Then hands to feet pose. Raised arm pose. And hands to prayer pose. And then back into Tadasana. So a little bit less words from me. I'm going to go through this one more time to the count of 3 breaths. Raised arms. Hands to feet. Tabletop. Your version of plank. Lowering down. Cobra. Coming down. Downward facing dog. Looking forward, stepping forward. Tabletop. Hands to feet. Bending into those knees, sweeping the arms up.
center, and Tadasana. Then very gently open your eyes. All right, so that's a very traditional salutes to the sun. And I'm going to do some more of these videos, and we'll go to a really classical style that I first learnt when I was learning yoga. So we're going to move into a practice that you don't see a lot of nowadays for some reason. And it's called swinging palm tree. So you can have your feet together or hip distance apart or a little bit closer together. And you're interlacing the fingers, reversing the interlace. So just visualize a palm tree. And you're just swinging from side to side. To the right, to center.
To the left, center, to your toes. Right, big. I think I want something a little bit
Harder, Gary. This is very easy.
Right, so, okay, balls of feet. Now find that drifting point when you come into the balls of the feet. If you want something a little bit harder, you can also close your eyes.
And then you're just swinging that palm tree
From side to side. Making sure you breathe here.
And I must admit, my palm tree is
A little bit wobbly today. It was a very hard class this morning, and I didn't teach it, I was attending it.
And I must admit, woo,
And this one more on this side. And
back to center, back into Tadasana again, having the eyes closed, palms are facing forward, and just have a moment here, just to feel the energies from that balance. And then when you're ready, very gently open your eyes. We're going to make our way onto the mat now. I'm grabbing my prop, which is quite convenient here. I just took it off one of the chairs. So some of you will know butterfly quite well. If you do, go straight into it. If you don't, there's lots of different options here. Now you can put props underneath your knees if they're up quite high. You can also have your feet a little bit further in a diamond shape. Now also, some people even find it difficult putting the feet together, and that's perfectly okay and perfectly normal. So you can always have your feet a little bit further apart. So just make the practice work for you or the shape. And then when you're ready, just give your knees a little bit of a butterfly up and down. Just very traditional as well. They teach a lot of this in India. And then when you're ready, lifting and lengthening into the spine, bending from the hip creases, walking the fingertips forward, and coming into a very gentle forward fold. So once you can't move any further forward from bending from the hip creases, then you roll out your back. Head comes down. Just breathing in and out. Last breath in and out. Walking the hands back towards your body. You can place your hands behind you if you like and just do a little gentle arch of the back. 3 breaths here. Coming back to center, crossing the legs over. This is called easy pose. Hands are in prayer, just gently bowing forehead to fingertips. And once again, come back to the 3 breaths. In through the nose and out through the nose. And when you finish the 3 breaths, just gently bowing forehead to fingertips and just acknowledging yourself for doing this practice whenever you do it. Acknowledging the people who support you, acknowledging teachers from the past, the present and the future. And of course acknowledging the greatest teacher of all, which is yourself, as we say, Namaste. And very gently open your eyes. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to do a few more of these. So this will be up on YouTube very shortly. If you like it, if you could subscribe on YouTube, that would be great. And until then, bye for now.